Spanish for get stains.
Well, Australia's property market is dominating headlines at the moment as combined capital city house prices fell 1.4% in the June quarter. Now, while this should have seen first home buyers jumping into the market, mortgage applications have dropped 26% since February. 19% of those are first home buyers.
So is the market really tipped in the favour of the buyer, or is it a disaster for anyone whose wealth is tied up in property? Well, to tell us more, buyer's agent and author founder of Aus Property Professionals, Lloyd Edge, joins us live in the studio. Welcome, Lloyd. Now, you've got a new book, Set for Life. It sounds pretty good. It discusses how everyday spending habits can hold Australians back. So what are you seeing?
Well, good morning. So the first thing I'm really seeing is from people is they don't have a clear financial plan and don't really have a budget. So they tend to not really understand where all their money is going. They spend a little bit more money than they think on different expenses, different takeaways. If they have a budget, that can actually help them get ahead with having a deposit, being able to save a little bit more money.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of negative dialogue out there at the moment around cost of living, real estate prices falling. Is it all doom and gloom, or is there some sort of light at the end of the tunnel? And please say there is.
Well, there's definitely light. It's definitely not all doom and gloom. It is a hard market at the moment for sellers who are trying to sell property. If you're holding property, that's okay. If you're not trying to sell it, it's all right. But there are opportunities for buyers. That doesn't mean that you should just jump in and buy something really cheap and try to get the cheapest deal. But it does mean, being a buyer's market, that you do have more choice. You can actually slow down. Clearance rates are much lower now, so you can go and pick up a property that may have not sold at auction, and you've got more choice around what you're buying, but you do need to still do your due diligence. Make sure you're buying a property that suits your goals. Yep. Is it in a good location? Does it suit your financial means and everything like that?
There is a real sentiment, though, when it's a cooling market. People are really nervous to sort of maybe buy in that time. Why do you think that is? It's just when it's hot, everyone sort of wants to jump on it, but when it's cool, people get more nervous.
They do. People often say they're going to buy when the market cools. Yep. But what happens when that actually does happen, people often aren't ready to buy because they haven't got their deposit ready, they haven't got their finance pre-approval ready, they're just not quite ready to buy. But the other thing that happens is that people think, well, if the market's cooling, maybe I'll get a better deal in 6 months' time. So they'll wait and they'll try to predict the market. And really, it's better to get in and get a property that actually suits you, that you can afford, rather than trying to predict what might occur in 6 months' time, because you may miss out on some good opportunities.
Sure. I've always been a big believer in the buy high, sell low approach to property, which has really worked out so beautifully for me over the years.
I'll have to hear more about that.
Terrible track record. You also talk about the dopamine trap. And we're hearing about this when it comes to spending. Can you explain that?
Yes, the dopamine trap is essentially when you spend a lot of money on things that make you feel good, essentially. So that might be buying clothes regularly, lots of takeaways, lots of coffees. Some people might buy a new car, and that can really take away from the deposit. It's not about giving up takeaway food or giving up a coffee. It's not the single expense. It's overall just not being financially set and just having lots of little expenses that all add up, and that means that you're not really enjoying the money. You're actually just spending it, and it's preventing you from achieving those long-term goals.
Yeah, and so much of it in this sort of online society leaks out because you've subscribed to things. It's hard to sort of know what you're spending sometimes. So how do people boost their wealth then if they're looking at this and saying, OK, I need to get ahead? What's the easiest way to do it?
OK, so the easy way, firstly, to boost your wealth is you need to spend less than you earn and then save or invest the difference. So what I like to do is I save the difference into a different account called the Freedom Fund. Now, that might be 10%, 15%, or it might only be $10. If you're already living paycheck to paycheck, maybe you can't save that much. But if you can save a bit into a different account, which is a buffer, adds to your savings, maybe a deposit, or start building up your deposit, and you don't touch that money, then you actually are starting to boost your wealth that way. So separate into different accounts.
I like to cut up my credit card.
Yeah, that would work well.
I'm not actually joking. That just stops a lot of spending.
I was 36 until I had a credit card. I never had one in the early days.
Look at you.
And it's just, I only ended up having a credit card because I needed to have it to be able to book hotels and flights, and they really get you, don't they? They really
do.
You.
So what advice do you have for people who might be, say, already living paycheck to paycheck that's not necessarily feasible? Are there any other avenues? So obviously this bank account is a big part of that.
I think one thing people can look at there is that if they're working and they do a tax return and they actually get money back, that money can be put aside into a different account. So instead of just using it for the dopamine effect and going buying something fun, maybe put that aside. So there are ways, but I think number one, have a budget and look at where your money goes, because it might mean that maybe you are buying 3 or 4 coffees a day. Maybe you could actually have a couple of those at home and just have one takeaway, and the other $10 can be put away.
Yeah.
And get the dopamine out of seeing that bank account growing and seeing, hopefully a more substantial amount.
I love it. I love seeing my bank account grow for that reason. Not because I'm, trying to look at how wealthy I am, but I do love that. That's where my dopamine comes from. It's just like, well, I'm creating a bit more money for my family.
I'm going to do this with the coffee thing. That's a good one. What I'll do is, if you could just shout me 3 coffees a day, I'm going to watch my bank account grow.
This is a sound financial plan.
That's a great plan.
Thank you so much.
Great plan for you, Sally.
That's given me a really good idea. And, of course, for more practical tips on building wealth, not my tips, the professionals' ones, make sure you grab a copy of Lloyd Edge's book, Set for Life. It is out now.
Thanks so much,
coffee.
Thank you.
Skim cappuccino.
Okay, with one.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, coming up.